I'm recording. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's a special day because it's Valentine's Day and I get to spend it with two of my favourite men. Michael Schneider is Managing Director of the Bunnings Group. Full disclosure, I bloody love Bunnings. Do you like the outfit I'm wearing today?
Looks very good, and happy Valentine's Day to you too, Jane.
Thank you, sweetheart. Um, it's just Bunnings is one of my happy places. But more importantly, Mike is the Chair of Fight MND. Andrew Danson, the other lovely man in my life, is the director of the Leasing Collective. He's a board member of South Melbourne Market. Full disclosure, bloody love South Melbourne Market. And Andrew is the president of Motor Neuron Disease Association Australia. Andrew has lived experience with the disease as his dad died in 2020. Mike, in my diary, I've called this the Big Boys interview because the two of you are both big, solid units and you're big boys in the MND world. But what we like to know, firstly, in this little podcast is who you are, not what you do. So who's Mike Schneider?
Mike Schneider is a dad and a husband and a friend and someone who is really privileged to work in a business like Bunnings. Been there for 20 years, but I think many people know that Bunnings loves its work in the community, and that's signified probably by the barbecues out the front of most of our stores, each weekend. But that has instilled in all of us a deep desire to connect with community and make contributions using the skills that we have. And I've been really proud to have been associated with Fight MND on a couple of different levels now for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Bunnings is a major partner and supporter of the Big Freeze and the work that the team do there at Fight MND. And obviously a great privilege to have joined the board and taken on the chairmanship from Bill Guest a few years ago. And my family, through my beautiful wife, Nicole, has also been touched by motor neuron disease, with Nick losing her mum, Lynn, in 2018.
Yeah. So I'll talk in a little minute about the route that you took to get there. But Andrew, tell us who you are.
So probably similar to Mike, really. I'm a father of two beautiful girls, a husband to a loving wife, and obviously I've got a really beautiful family. I'm a small business owner. The Leasing Collective is a retail consultancy that looks after a number of national retail brands with their property work. And then obviously my journey to MND started in 2017 when my father was diagnosed at the clinic here in Flinders. They do wonderful work, David Schultz and Peter Allcroft and the team there. And then obviously passed away in 2020, and that sort of led me down the path to join MNDSA, which is an organisation that provides care for people suffering from the disease. And then from there, I think I sort of summarise myself as a bit of an accidental chair in the first instance. Scott Penhall, who was the previous chair, he was finding his personal life a bit busy, and he stepped down, and I think I was the only one that was left standing forward. So brought me to here, and then obviously into the MNDA space. And my principle on it was, I just thought, if we're going to do this, we need to do it properly and we need to do it well. And if we're going to do it, let's give it a red hot go. And I don't think I'll apologise for trying my absolute utmost and best for the community. And I think that's what we've been doing. And I hope that's what we're standing for.
Yeah, it's always. Here's an important question, Andrew. Who do you barrack for?
This is quite a funny story, and Mike might laugh at this. So I've got a TV here in the office, and I usually just have something on the background. And I'm a mad Essendon supporter, and I had to suffer through Fox Footy this morning with the 1999. I think it was the prelim final where Carlton beat us.
Fantastic game.
I thought that was almost an omen, Mike, if you don't mind. So
no.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm an Essendon supporter. Have been sort of rusted on, I would say, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I was born an Essendon supporter, Mike. Mike, who do you barrack for?
I'm one of the outliers in my family. Nick's family are all diehard Essendon supporters like Andrew, and we've actually been to the footy together last season, just ahead of the Big Freeze, and that obviously means that I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Blue supporter, and hopefully going to enjoy some football late into September in 2025.
Oh, look, nothing like an optimist.
Haven't lost a game this year, Jane.
I think we're all in that space, aren't we?
Yeah.
My brother is a die-hard Carlton supporter, and the first 4 weeks, it's all about, we're still on the top of the ladder. We're here. We're going to make it. Yeah. All right. Mike, your journey to fight MND took quite a never say that word, Sturkly route. Tell us about the fun run that you did.
Yeah, I was back in sort of 2018. There were a few different things going on in my life, both personally and professionally, and to sort of cope with some of the challenges and pressure of the time, I sort of started to run and was doing a little bit of running, and that became a little bit more running, and I decided to challenge myself to do a half marathon in the middle of the year, and I'm really lucky that I've got a strong network of friends and family and partners through business. And, it's rare that you put your hand out individually and ask for help in that way. And I sort of use that community to challenge me to sort of push myself through 20 odd Ks of running, and was fortunate to raise a considerable amount of money. And then I had a problem in search of a solution, what to do with the fundraising. And, I was speaking with a couple of my colleagues at work who have had family members who've been impacted by motor neuron disease. And I sort of went through the list of charities that Run Melbourne had supporting them, and Fight MND was one. And that sort of opened up a conversation, with them, and an awareness and a connection to a couple of the team at Fight MND. And then the team came in to Bunnings and said, what about the idea of selling the beanies? And we put the beanies on sale in our Victorian and Tasmanian stores. Clearly, there's a strong connection between the AFL and Fight MND and the Big Freeze. And I'm always really careful with our business brand at Bunnings about where you put the brand and who you partner with and why. And we've traditionally not sold merchandise on behalf of other charities or organisations, but I thought this one clearly resonates with a lot of people, so let's try it. And what's fascinating for me, and Andrew will understand this maybe much better than me, but the outrage from the rest of my team was very strong right across Australia, and actually from New Zealand. Why are we only selling beanies in Tasmania and Victoria? I lost a loved one. My father has it. My mother has it. My child has it, and it was a real eye opener for me about the reach of motor neuron disease across the country. And I think the sort of prognosis that you receive when you're diagnosed with it's pretty grim. And I think that means that the number of people living with MND at any time relative to our overall population is quite small, but the reach of the disease and the impact that it's had on family and friends and carers and researchers is profound. Yeah. So it was a really easy decision, in year 2 for Bunnings to go put the beanies nationwide and start to think about ways in the New Zealand market we can support MND NZ, which we also do. From there, I was doing some work in a couple of other not-for-profit spaces, and I was approached to sort of consider the role at Fight MND, and I had the privilege of meeting Neil and Pat Cunningham and Bill and many other members of the board. And I was really inspired and, in fact, curious why they needed me on their board, because it's a pretty impressive group of people. But
yeah, it is.
I think you learn in any team, you bring different skills, and a bit like Andrew, you want to see things done properly when you're involved with it. And it's been fantastic to sort of see that and to be connected to the wider community. I think connection to MNDA and the different state associations, and working on ways to reset and rebuild our relationship so that, together we present a united front to government and a united front in the community around raising money for research into causes and ways to sort of fight and ultimately cure the disease, but also to support care through research into care, but also to support the care and the incredible work that the state associations do. And, talking to my wife's family, the work that MND Vic did in caring for Lynn was incredible from all accounts. So you get a first-hand experience of the value of the roles that we play. And I love being a part of the team. And it's an exciting place to be, and exciting to learn about the research. I'm not a scientist by any imagination, but I
have that problem too, Mike.
It's complex science, right? It's really complex science undertaken by absolutely brilliant researchers in Australia and around the world. And pleasingly, Australia leads the world on many counts when it comes to research. But there's heaps more to do. So fight on we will, Jane.
Fight on, as Neil says. Andrew, explain to us MNDA and state associations. Until there's a cure, there's care. So,
Yeah, so I think it's a really fascinating point in that, and that's the tagline, because as Mike and everyone at Fight, all the researchers that do the wonderful work at the clinics know, this thing isn't easy, and it's not going to be easy to sort of to cure. And these people, there's 2,700 Australians right now, as at today, suffering from the disease. They need support and they need care. And I think that tagline resonates, because I think the work that both organisations do is incredibly important, because we have to care for these people. They shouldn't be the forgotten ones. And they've all got a story to tell, and they're part of this journey more than anyone. Because what you don't want to happen is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike, but I think we can't sit here and necessarily focus on necessarily a cure, and a cure will come, and that's the dream for everyone, from Neil Danaher right through to my dad when he was suffering from it. But what the state associations do, and they do incredibly well, is provide incredible support, incredible allied health support in most of the states, and most of the states will, or all of the states will be going to that or will be going in that direction in the future. These people need that support, and they need that specialised care, because this isn't like breaking a leg, rolling up to hospital, and someone's going to fix it. It is a really complicated problem, and these electric wheelchairs, lifting beds, 24/7 care, swallowing technology, breathing technology, and the list goes on and on and on. And the states do that really well. And I think where the confusion comes is MNDA's role in all of this is, it's around information and education, it's around advocacy, and it's around funding. And if we can support our states with those three aspects, it makes their job considerably easier to deliver the care, because the care is what is needed right now. And I think there's a future problem and there's a current problem, and I think both organisations are dealing with both those very, very well. And Mike touched on it. I think the more that we can do together, the better our community is going to be. And you look at the statistics. We're just working through an Evo Health report that will be released shortly. They're suggesting that of every person that's diagnosed with MND, there's 14 people immediately in their community or their inner circle that's impacted as well. Yeah. That's an incredible amount of people if you think about the unfortunate nature of the disease and the time it takes for the disease to obviously take a life. It's that community is a really strong and passionate and parochial one, and I think they deserve to be, because this is a problem that needs attention.
Yeah, I was discussing that before. I did the Great MND Relay on the weekend, and we haven't quite met the target yet, but it's open till October. And I was explaining to someone that today 3 people will be diagnosed, tomorrow 3 people, the next day 3 people.
Three people will die too, though, Jane. That's the thing. Like one diagnosed, one dying is the general statistic, and that's like if we can through research find a way, or a medication, or commercialize a medication that even reduces that number, I think we're on the right path.
I agree, but my point was going to be in that we don't lose the supporters of those who have died.
Yep.
Every day we gain more supporters. So our community just keeps growing despite the fact we're losing someone. Fight MND and MNDA have recognised the need and the desire of the MND community to work more closely together. Now, I know that you have both started that, and the input from the community as a whole is very, very positive. When you're first diagnosed, it's very confusing. Fight's here, MND states are here, MND Australia's here. So from a consumer perspective, there needs to be more cohesion. Tell me how the first few steps that you've taken. I know them, but other people don't. So talk about that, talk about the care protocols, the fact that even teams meeting each other and, you know, building relationships with each other.
Well, I think, you know, first and foremost, when Andrew came into his role, you know, it was fantastic that, you know, very early on he reached out to connect and get to know each other. And I've met, you know, a couple of Andrew's predecessors who've also made really important contributions to the MND community. But, you know, I think with Andrew, the difference has been the pragmatism of how do we make this a better place. I've always had a view that, you know, you're always stronger together. I think if you look at it through the lens of the consumer that you talk about, but also through potential donors and funders and government, you know, if you've got organisations that are at odds with each other, either, you know, inadvertently or deliberately or strategically or operationally, it's very hard to sort of support that. So I think we both have a very shared desire to, you know, build a meaningful relationship. I think we've got a great personal relationship, and that allows for easy and open dialogue. And I think that the CEOs of our respective organisations also are both, you know, relatively new and can build on the good work that's been done by their predecessors. And I think the opportunity is to just continue to work on being clear about the roles that we play. You know, and I think that the contribution that the state associations make, that care, that allied health, is so vitally important. And it's a particular skill set to, you know, attract and retain and work with and develop those sort of, you know, people in that sort of space, but also the communities and the ecosystem in which they work. Fight MND is in a very privileged position in terms of its profile, the way it's been able to, you know, create some events and activity and you know, to benefit from the enormous generosity of spirit that Neil and his family have had to, you know, look adversity in the eye and say, you know, we're going to take the fight up to this. And, you know, I think Neil's recognition as Victorian Australian of the Year and then Australian of the Year is not only recognition for Neil, but it is for everyone touched by this. And that's very much his view in speaking with him. And I think the opportunity in the year ahead to leverage that for the whole MND community, to tell the story, to raise awareness, to, you know, focus government on action and support, you know, are all things that, you know, make Fight MND a strong organisation. How we support and fund work that MNDA and the state associations are doing is the work that the teams are progressing now, and we're all very open to that, and recognising that there are differences in where we want to operate and work, and where we're going to deliver the best outcomes. And, you know, I fully agree with Andrew's, you know, thoughts around the importance of today. If you're living with this disease, or you're caring for someone, or it's your mum or your dad or your sibling or your child, that is probably occupying 23 of your 24 hours of thought. But there needs to be a long-term view as well. There needs to be a strategic view that says we want a world, you know, our mission at Fight MND is to have a world free from MND, and you must keep striving towards that. And scientific research, the technology, the equipment, the resources are incredibly expensive, and require, you know, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, not just in Australia, but around the world. And, you know, I think last year or the year before, we saw MND Scotland get £50 million from the UK government, you know, to advance its work. And, you know, they're the sorts of investments that are going to be needed on the long journey we've got to get to where we need to go, because there is a long way to go. You know, Andrew and I sort of, you know, operate in a very similar working environment, retail industry, which is hour by hour, minute by minute, and you see results very quickly. When I talk to researchers in the MND space and they say that they think they might have found something, it's still going to be 5, 10, maybe 15 years before that comes to life. And, you know, that's very hard to cope with when you deal with such incredibly short-term things for a large part of your life. So I think it's finding that sort of partnership where there is support and there is alignment, and equally where we've got differences, that we respect and acknowledge them, and either pursue those individually or you know, support the other to do what they're trying to do. That's certainly that's my take on it.
I couldn't agree more. And there's, you know, in new relationships, which in effect, this is a new relationship. There's always going to be bumps in the road and things we need to work out, and coming at things from a different perspective. And that's only a good thing, to have a different perspective. Andrew, do you want to talk about the
I think there's some benefit in touching on the relationship as well, Jane. Like in the last 6 months, the two organisations, MNDA, MND, Fight MND, we've agreed a community survey, which will help inform a lot of the work that both organisations do, and it's been co-authored, which is look, if we were talking about that 18 months, 2 years ago, I think we'd be a long way from getting to that. That's a huge movement, and I think it needs to be acknowledged for both teams that is a big step forward from where we were. And then the care guidelines that Fight MND are working on, we've got a number of our state reps working, or state CEOs working with those care guidelines. It's incredibly important work, and Fight have obviously funded, but it's going to help the state associations longer term. So there's a lot of, over the last 6 or so months, I think you'd agree, Mike, there's probably been some really big steps around bringing everyone together, and putting down the 6-shooters, so to speak, and really getting on with what's important.
Yep.
I am involved with both Fight and MNDA. So I'm involved that I sit on boards and committees and things, but also as a member of the community. And it's heartening as a member of the community to see that joining together now. Because we need it.
Yep.
And we don't need mum and dad to be fighting in the background, while we're playing up in the back room. Yeah.
Yep.
The protocols of care I'm involved in as well, and that is something that I am so passionate about, and I just drive everybody crazy talking about it. It is being set up so professionally. I'm so impressed with that, Mike. It's just brilliant. So Andrew, what else that you can talk about at the meantime is there that you two want to work on together?
Oh, look, I think there's a number of different things. I think we sit here and we have a grant, and we have a research program, not necessarily to the size of Fight, but really just trying to align those two. I think is probably our next. And I'm not talking out of turn here, Mike, but I certainly think there's opportunity there for both organisations to really get the best of the best. And I think that's something that I think both sides need to be. So not that we shouldn't be saying friends, not both sides, but both groups should be trying to work towards, because it's something that, again, like, it's about efficiency. And if we're doing something, we should be talking to Fight about what we're doing, but being really transparent and really clear. And obviously the same way on the way back. So to me, I think that research agenda, research strategy over the next 3 to 5 years, that horizon is going to be a really important bit of work for both organisations. And and I'm not sure because I'm not a scientist either, but how do we align those two things so that they're sort of hand in glove, and there's no overlaps, and we're very, very clear around the how, because that to me is something that we as chairs of our respective organisations can really help drive.
I think that I'm involved with the research collective, and when we first started about two and a half years ago, everyone was working in silos. So that's anybody to do with MND and also the researchers. Those silos now are being smashed a bit, and pretty much the communication is the key. So once you get people starting to talk with each other and realizing that they've had the same failures or they're working towards the same thing, the differences are quite outstanding, and that's making a massive difference to the work being done, but also the perception of Fight and MNDA from, again, I'm going to say the consumer, because that's what we are in effect.
The other thing, I think, like, we're MNDA at the moment are pushing really hard to get government support for a data project. So the thing we've found is there's significant amount of data sets sitting in Australia And if we as a community can bring those data sets together, it's going to create efficiencies for researchers. It's going to create efficiencies and synergies for the care side of the businesses, and it's going to benefit the whole sector. And I think something that I've realised is people get a little bit protective about their data, and I'm not talking necessarily the person, the individual. I'm talking about the different groups that have got these data sets. If we can sort of get something like that over the line over the next 3 to 4 years, the research spend and the efficiencies that that'll create, I think will accelerate our learnings around how do we fix this disease. So that's something else that I think is worth mentioning as well. There's some really good work happening on both sides.
And probably just add to that, Jane, I think it equally it's amplifying the work that one another do. Like there's things that can be done financially, there's things that can be done relationship wise, but there's conferences and activities that both organisations, for all the right reasons, will do, and they'll do those independently. But actually celebrating those or sharing that in our own, networks and social feeds and those sorts of things, I think is really important, because without sort of that sort of more visible celebration of one another's achievements, I think the work can be going on, but I think in the broader community's eyes, that's a very good way to sort of go, there's a genuineness and sincerity to what we're doing. And it was great to have Andrew at Big Freeze last year, and we're working to be at events that MNDA are at and state associations are at, because I think that sort of visibility and support is something that is also very important.
I had to sit next to him last year at the Big Freeze.
She had to put up with me for 4 hours.
Well, at least it wasn't one of our teams playing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't put up with the tears. Excuse me, please. Okay, you've been very generous with the time, the two of you. Mike, what would you like to just offer off the top of your head, that out of left field, that you would like, what changes you would like made?
In regards to
space between, yeah.
I don't think it's probably not changes between the ways of working at MNDA or at Fight MND, but I think one of the things that we've got an enormous opportunity to do, and arguably doing it together, is actually get this on the radar of government more, get more support from government. I think relative to other diseases and needs in the healthcare community, I think more can be done. I think more can be done at a state level. I think there's more that can be done at a federal level. I think we're particularly fortunate in Victoria that the investments of Victorian government over many years into things like the Florey has been incredible, and Victoria maybe leads Australia, but there's great work coming, for example, out of Macquarie University and Macquarie University Hospital in Sydney, and those things, having that government support behind us is going to be important. So I think that's the sort of change, and I think the opportunity we have in the year ahead to shift the national conversation around motor neuron disease is also there, because I know, Andrew knows that you've only got to scratch the surface and say those 3 letters, and people go, oh yeah, I know. And so it's there in the consciousness, but how do we elevate that? That's something that's very important to me.
A good start happened last night. Emma Vullen, MP, was on the project last night, and that was a really I cried for a good 2 hours afterwards. But that's a particular roll on from Neil being awarded Australian of the Year, and already giving. I'm getting a lot of calls already from different media talking about it, and that's only in 2 weeks. So we really have to use this next 2 years.
Yep.
Just quickly, Andrew, going back to what you were saying with the data again, I was so shocked when I realized that we didn't have that data available to us, because how can you research something when you don't have the base data?
Well, you've got data, but you don't have the whole.
Yeah, but it's not. It's
the whole picture. We
don't know the ages. We don't know the regions. We don't know onset. We don't know where they worked.
So I think it's probably the sophistication of the data that's really the concerning thing. And if we can bring all the data together across researchers, the clinics, the state associations, and everyone in between, it's going to help like cure, cause, and care. And if we, as I said, it'll accelerate progress in all of those three areas. And just I think I'm very lucky that on our board we have a lady, Mary Louise Rogers, who's a fabulous researcher, and she's discovered a number of genomes and things like that. Now, please, my apologies if I got what she's discovered. Proteins. She describes it as the more data you have, the easier it is. And so I think from that perspective, we've been doing a lot of work in Canberra trying to get the federal government and the opposition to support that data project, which will obviously benefit FIGHT and everyone in the community, state associations and MNDA. And it just, the efficiencies that I think you'll find, and Mike hit the nail on the head earlier with retail, like it's a minute by minute, day by day, second by second sort of thing. If we can do that, it just amplifies what we're doing and makes it just it's that stronger togetherness that's going to get us there quicker.
And when we have correct data, there'll be a cost savings to the health industry as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if we can show them that, okay, if we can have this data, so we can use it for these particular reasons, and then therefore the funds from the government are targeted, it's going to save them money, because at the moment what they're doing is throwing, here, catch this, and it's the spending is indiscriminate.
Yeah.
In that business, I'd get sacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on.
All right, my loves. Thank you so very much.
Lovely to see you both, and thank you for thinking to include us in this amazing podcast. And thank you, Jane, for the work you do, amplifying the work that we do and amplifying awareness of this in the community. And yeah, I've certainly loved being a part of it. And Andrew, great to see you, mate. And
you too.
Chat with you soon.
Yeah, no dramas, and thank you, Jane. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. So hopefully it just sort of brings that message together even further than what it was.
It's really important for the community to actually know that you're not just lip serving, that you actually like each other, that you're doing it, working together, and also know that we will support you when Carlton lose again this year, because our expectations aren't that high.
No idea.
I'm going in with the expectation of winning, and mate, you need to lower them.
We'll see. See you in September.
I hope.
2 weeks. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.